I know what you're thinking. Wow, that is a very overproofed loaf of bread. But I'm going to show you how to make mini loaves out of this very dough. Whether you're gifting taster loaves to a friend or you don't eat enough bread to warrant a large loaf at home, I'm going to teach you how to make mini loaves without having to change up your sourdough method or use special proofing bowls. Just proof as normal, divide, and bake. It's that easy. Let's get started. So as you can see that this loaf was left for a really long time and is dramatically overproofed. It's really jiggly. If I was going to dump this out on the counter and just try to score it like this, it probably is going to be quite a flat loaf. I would likely end up putting it into a sandwich loaf. But today I'm going to show you how to turn this one into mini loaves. So we're just going to kind of pinch up the middle of this just to kind of bring a little extra tension back into this very overproofed loaf. But I'm going to show you how to take this. And so basically we did the bulk fermentation the same, we did the proof the same in my regular old Bannetons in the fridge, and now I'm going to show you how to make this into mini loaves. So this one we're actually going to divide in two. The one that I have in the fridge we're going to divide into three. This is an awesome way to gift your sourdough. So I'm just going to take a little bit of flour, my countertop, and we're going to pour this right out onto the counter. It's not actually flattening out as much as I anticipated, but we're going to take it and we're just going to divide it down the middle the best we can. So it's not going to be perfect. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to shape it into boules. And so what I like to do for this is get as much of that flour off the counter. Need that tackiness. So we're just kind of tucking under the edges and forming it into a round boule. And then this one you could just pinch up the sides if you wanted, and you could make it into an oval. So I like to kind of take the seam and then flip it over on the counter and just kind of form it into kind of like a long oval. And you can use your bench knife to kind of form these as best you can, and they are going to split a little bit, especially this one because it's so overproofed. And then we're just going to take our bread mats, because these are going to go on a pan, so I'll show you how they go into the oven. They're not going to go into a Dutch oven, although you could do that if you wanted to. Put them into a Dutch oven. So these are just going to go on a pan, and we're going to do, sometimes I like to do kind of like 1, 2, 3 down the side, or you can do one straight down the middle. It's kind of whatever your preference is. For this one, I am going to do just a cross. And you can do whatever designs you want on these too. So if you're gifting them in the winter, you can make them into little trees or whatever you want. You can get really creative. So we're just going to come down the side with this one. Okay, and then I will show you how we get them into the oven. So we're going to have them on a pan, and we're just going to slide them into the oven. And then we still need steam. So we still need to have a steam component, because just because we're not using a Dutch oven doesn't mean that we're not using steam. So I have a pan in here that I've heated and boiled some water. And you're just going to pour the water in. And that's going to create a lot of steam. So kind of put as much as it will take in there. And then slide that in. And we'll let those bake for about 20 minutes as if the cover was on the Dutch oven. So we'll bake them with steam for about 20 minutes. Okay, so we are ready to take the steam out at this point. We're just going to grab onto that. Be very careful as you lift it out. And then we'll just take a quick look at these loaves. So you'll see that they do break open on the sides a little bit. You know, they're not as beautiful as making one large loaf, but they're just such a perfect way to kind of have a mini one. So we're going to slide those back in, let them darken up a bit more. That will probably take different time for each oven, but I'm going to try like 8 to 10 minutes for the second half of this bake. Just to preface, if this loaf hadn't have been so overproofed, they would look a little bit prettier than this, but what you're going to find with your mini loaves is you're going to get like a really nice crispy crust. If you don't want the crispy crust, you can rub butter on them and it will soften them up a bit. But you're gonna get like a real traditional rustic looking sourdough from doing it in this method. This one, again, got a little bit, I don't know, crooked, I guess, when scoring it, but that's just because the loaf was a little bit overproofed. But either way, these are such a nice thing, especially if you're someone who maybe lives by themselves, or if there's only 2 of you in the house and you don't go through bread as quickly. You can make 1 batch of the master recipe and make 4 loaves out of it. Then you can freeze 3 of them and you can kind of work your way through smaller loaves at a time, or you can make smaller sandwiches with it. It's just a really nice kind of, or if you have like mini loaf pans, you could bake them in that. It's just a really nice way to be able to have a smaller loaf of bread, and then they're just such a fun thing to gift to people at Christmas, and we're gonna wrap them up and show you kind of what we do with them. So I'm gonna show you how to make them even smaller than this if you wanna make really mini loaves. Some people wanna gift like a sampler. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. When you're dividing your loaf into 3s, I tend to make most of them into an oval. And what we're gonna try to do here is take as much of this flour out of the way for when we're shaping these ones. So let's just wipe that out of the way. And then, there's a couple different things you can do. I've showed where you can just divide it right down the center and do baguettes. So then you just put it into your baguette pans, or you can even just bake them on the pan just as is and pinch the sides up, and then you have 2 baguettes. Today we're just gonna do it into 3s. So we're just gonna cut the loaf. And the first time I ever did this, I was so scared because it deflates this beautiful, perfect loaf that you spent so much time fermenting, but I promise that it's okay. So these aren't perfectly even, but we're just basically gonna take the edges and pinch them as best we can. And then for these end ones, we're gonna tuck under. And again, mine is very, very proofed, so it's gonna be harder for me to shape this into what I want. Okay, so I'm gonna just shape kind of like a longer oval, almost a little bit like a baguette. And then for this one, you're gonna just tuck in both sides. And this one's a bit trickier to get to make look pretty, because you have 2 sides that you have to kind of pinch and tuck under, so you can't hide them underneath. So what I like to do for this one is I like to stretch it out a little bit. And you can turn it over as well if you'd like, but I like to put the top on the top and the bottom on the bottom, even if it's gonna break like that. Yours probably won't break as much like that just because it won't be as overproofed. But we like to show kind of, all the different scenarios that can happen with this sort of thing. Okay, and then hide that seam underneath, and nice long kind of loaves there. So I have my pan with my bread mats. Again, you could just use parchment paper if that's all you have, and we're just going to slide those on. And again, trying to hide those seams as best we can. And this one is obviously not going to hide as much. So what will happen with this one is it will choose one side or the other to likely bust open. I may just put that on an angle. Okay. So then we're gonna score them, and I think I'm gonna score these ones like I would a baguette. So I'm just gonna go across the top. And you wanna go nice and deep with these because you have to remember there is an open seam, so it will find the path of least resistance. And if that open seam, for example, this one here is kind of readily available, it will blow out the side. And that's okay, but if we can cut these as deep to kind of salvage the appearance of it, that's helpful. So we're gonna slide those into the oven the exact same way we did before with our steam on the bottom, and we're gonna bake them for about 18 minutes with the steam, and then we'll take the steam out, and then we just kind of play around with that second half of the bake until the internal temperature is 200 degrees and the top is nice and golden brown. So these ones are fun because they're like little sub sandwiches almost. This one again was cracking on the top, so that is reflected in the bake. And then
This one kind of like misshaped a little bit, but they're a really cute option to give to people, especially if like you're giving it as a hostess gift and you're going to slice it up and serve it like on a board with meats and cheeses and different things like that. I just love these ones. So we're going to wrap them up and kind of show how we would gift them. Probably wouldn't gift this one just because it has some breakage on the top there, but these two are pretty, and we can wrap them up nice and pretty with some ribbons, and there's just such a fun little easy thing to gift. And out of our master recipe today, we made 5 mini loaves. You can make up to 6 mini loaves or as low as 4 mini loaves that are the size of our kind of rustic boule there. So 4 to 6 different loaves that you can make out of just one master recipe, and that's just such an easy way to gift sourdough. Another option for our mini boules is you can cut the top of this off and pull it out, and it makes a really awesome bowl for dips on a board. So you can slice these up and put it all around it, and then pull the inside of this out and fill it with a dip, and it makes a really fun bread bowl at a party around the holidays. So let's wrap these up and we'll show you what they look like. Obviously wrapping up sourdough is the best part. So you just take parchment paper for the mini loaves, and I just kind of pull it all together into the middle. You can get super festive and wrap a ribbon around. And so even though the bread is a little rustic looking, it wraps up so cute. And this is such a nice little gift to give to someone, whether it's like a hostess gift or if you're adding it to a basket of goodies for Christmas time. It's just so cute. So yeah, so that's how I wrap up our mini loaves to gift at Christmas. So for our baguettes, we're gonna roll them up, wrap them up just like we would a regular loaf. And then do a nice ribbon on the top.